they look very like relaxed. I don't know how to put it. Like they look very poised. That's the word.
Yeah, that's a great word. That's a great word. And that's a key word for like a champion. I feel like poise is like champion level. You don't get flustered. You don't break in the moments. Those moments are what you live for. That's what makes you. So, and they're really good at that. So it's going to be, but she is such a beast. So it's going to be interesting to see that matchup. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Both teams shoot like water though. So it just goes in.
Lights out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was a fun tournament. Sorry about Kansas losing to Arkansas the second round. Sorry about
that. You know what? So many people I've talked to about this, but yes, of course, I was upset. But one, we can't get too crazy. We won the national championship last year. We can't be like so greedy. So that's number one. But number two, you know, with Bill having his health issues, it's just not right without him on the sidelines. And Norm did an amazing job for the team, but he's not like, you know, we need Bill. And those last 3 minutes of that Arkansas game, we could have really used him, but Norm did a great job. You know, it's obviously always sad to see your team lose, but you know, it's different now. The transfer portal has changed everything. So who knows what next year will be like.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that the next time you come on my show. But
okay.
Yeah, right now that we got a few more people in, we're getting ready to start. Welcome everybody to this part 2 of this Women's Herstory Month Panel. It's live streaming on YouTube. For those of you that can't make it, you just catch it as it gets published. And welcome aboard Shauntay, Erin, K. Wallace. I'm going to give you the background a little bit because we got these are phenomenal women that are basically being their own boss in media. But you're probably not going to catch them working at 9 to 5 unless it's in other fields. But you're going to catch them doing media, being their own boss, whether it's in photography, dancing, videography, all these things that you continue to contribute to this world of sports entertainment in general. Like, welcome aboard, ladies. The first one comes from Erin. Erin. How you pronounce the last name is
Schiffman.
Schiffman.
Yeah.
She founded her own publication called The Balls Journal along with this guy named Lawrence. They do a lot of videography and photography on high school basketball, junior high school basketball. Well, and she just mentioned she just did some phenomenal stuff, a couple New York Knicks games, a couple Liberty games. She's also a mom, a female entrepreneur, a creative executive, a photographer, a music and art enthusiastic, and a hardcore Kansas Jayhawks fan, which is why I mentioned her Jayhawks at the beginning of the show. And yeah, just recently she just covered the high school city championship, which is like literally one of the most craziest buzzer beaters for a high school pro that you will ever see at the Barker Center. For those
so much
high school basketball, you're probably going to want to rewatch the highlights of Eagle Academy knocking out Thomas Jefferson in the NYC championship. Sorry, South Shore, but you already had your moments. Welcome aboard, Erin.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
And my second special guest, she's in the public. For those of you that don't know, I was a graduate from LIU Brooklyn and Fordham University that took part in the public media program, which is multi-platform journalism concentration. Well, my special guest right here, even though she did do the same degree and only other African American at that program that year besides myself, she was part of the strategic communication side. But outside of that, she also has a passion for dancing, photography, and she just joined the Amazon Influencer Program. Kay Wallace, welcome aboard.
I did. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, we can't forget about this beautiful young lady right here. I've interviewed her for Nothing But That Sports Talk. I interviewed her for Planted Not Buried when I first started contributing to Planted Not Buried. And coincidentally, her and Erin met each other at Rucker Park when they did like a little small get together for the Basketball Beauties League when it first started in 2019, which is the last summer before COVID hit. You're probably not going to remember it, but I remember seeing you two talk to each other. She also did some independent radio a while back for I forgot what radio station she did, but before that she went to a college in Massachusetts and a college in Connecticut to study education and minored in journalism and study African Americans studies. She also contributes to a lot of publications. She even had an interview with Styles P. I remember the last time I talked to her about it. And just recently, she covered a movie premiere for Tiana Taylor's new movie coming out. God bless you on that one. Shauntay Hallett, or as most of the young girls that you coach, Coach Tay. She also has a passion for dancing too, Kay Wallace. So at least you two have something in common.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you two ladies. And so I'm so excited to hear what you guys have to say today and just learn from you ladies and share my experience with everybody that's live streaming right now as well.
Exactly. Now, for those of you that don't know, for those of you just coming on, I want to start up this amazing Women's Herstory Month Panel by talking about basically how you got to start in media. Started with you, Kay Wallace.
I got my start in I got my start in media because, well, one, I picked up a camera at a very young age, because I had a family friend who I acknowledge as an uncle, who had one of those like big cameras. So he was always at the parties, and I would be like, let me take pictures. And then I asked my parents for a camera. I started taking pictures. It wasn't until 2020 where I made it a business. But prior to that, I had a professor in undergrad. My undergrad degree was dance. I had a professor in undergrad who often collaborated technology, media, and dance. She still has that company. It's called Prodeo Media Plus Performance. She basically, most of her dance pieces are media and technology and dance together, whether it's a video, projection, using sound technology, just any way you can use technology in dance. She has done it, she does it. So then I did an internship with her company. And then from there, I grew a love to media, communications. And I always said, which I'm still aiming to do, want to use that in the arts and entertainment industry mainly. So that's how I got my start in media. I still obviously run my photography and media business. I do digital design, starting to build clientele in social media management and a couple PR services. So yeah, it's really much still ongoing for me. And then obviously I got my master's at the PMA program at Fordham. And that's where I was really like, okay, I can do this. And so hopefully soon I will leave teaching dance full time and either perform and run my digital media business, or work in a position where I'm using public relations, media, and arts and entertainment.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, since we're on the verge of talking about arts and entertainment, it's only fair that I transition to another beautiful young lady who also has a background in dance, journalism, and education. Why don't you give a little bit about your background, Shauntay, about how you got your media start?
Well, thank you for that introduction. You always give great introductions to everybody, Rafiq. It's amazing. Well, I guess I got my media start by just for the love of like dance and for the love of music at a young age. I started dancing in like the community that I grew up in the Bronx. And, fast forward, I danced all the way through high school and through college as well. Every dance team, like basically on my college campus, and Wheaton College in Massachusetts. And then fast forward to after college, I joined a team and was on the radio, Hip Hop Point of View, and I loved it. But I was the only female there, and I learned a lot about the history of music, of the history of hip hop. They had some OGs teaching me like things that, back in the crates, and this is what we used to do, and just things that I was just so like blown apart. And the same thing, I picked up a camera and then I started, feeling like I could get into events for free. And it was just so refreshing to be front row, to kind of see from, the front of the stage and kind of just see what artists go through. And I really wanted to know more about their journey. And so when the pandemic hit, I was so sad that unfortunately, Hip Hop Point of View, we decided to like go our separate ways. the pandemic hit and it was like crazy, but I didn't let that stop me. And so I started my own blog called Short and Sweet ENT. And the purpose for it is to build that community and a platform for everybody to have a voice. And so I cover Black-owned businesses and small businesses, independent artists, mainstream artists, and lifestyle. So lifestyle can mean like basically really much anything. I'm so interested in knowing anybody's lifestyle. So it's exclusive to that energy. And so, yeah, I just really was tired of people saying no and I couldn't do it. And you needed this experience, but wasn't offering an opportunity for that experience. And so I also have experience in writing, being an elementary school teacher. And I'm like, I can write, I can do this. I know how to edit. And I was like, so I can start my own blogs. I can do whatever I want to do. And I really wouldn't have to hear no from anybody else. And so I started writing and covering concerts and festivals. And I just absolutely love it. And I really want people to feel like they can tell their story the way they want to, instead of like the other types of blogs that pick up on different type of stories that may not project them in a positive light. And so my goal is to make sure that people feel like they have a platform where they can express themselves freely and truly be themselves.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like you had, when you were told you had to go your separate ways of hip hop point of view, you never let that stop you from continuing doing media on your own. You have to create your own green light sometimes. You can't wait for people to come to opportunities, to come to you for opportunities. You got to go after it. And speaking of going after it, that's when you transition to Erin for the Ballers Journal. She went after it in her own way, started the Ballers Journal. But before we get to that, let us know how you got your media start, Erin.
That's a great question. I don't know. I feel like there's like both of your other guests have said that, you know, there's so many different angles and things that have kind of contributed to it throughout the years that it just kind of happened. But I think for the Ballers Journal in particular, that was something that I'm a mom and my son started playing basketball in the New York City community in Harlem, actually. And the more that I was hanging out in Harlem and meeting lots of people within the basketball community, everybody had just such an interesting story to tell and an interesting journey as to how they got where they were and how basketball obviously was the common thread throughout all of our common interests, but it was always bigger than the game. And it, you know, it saved lives, it changed lives, it is continuing to do so for so many different people throughout all 5 boroughs and beyond. So it just felt really natural to connect with people in the community and share their stories. And I like, you know, I've been taking photos my whole life and I went to FIT and I've always been a creative. So it just kind of came naturally to me to start capturing people and telling their stories. And it all corresponded to like some difficult personal times in my life. So I always call my camera my life preserver. It was the thing that really saved me in those moments where I just didn't know how I was going to get through the day. I didn't know, I felt like I was drowning, and it really was my, you know, my life preserver and really carried me through. And also that, you know, connecting with other humans, you know, on a really deep level through the love of sport and basketball, but also just, you know, the human experiences that we all go through. And so there's so many beautiful stories to be told. Yes, of course, we love basketball and it's always, you know, goes back or begins there. But there's just so many interesting things to share about the game and, you know, the resiliency and the consistency and the dedication and the passion and the mentoring and the coaching. So that's really kind of how the Ballers Journal got started.
Exactly. And I loved all the work you do for the Ballers Journal. Like I said earlier today, yeah, you covered high school basketball game like nearly last week at the Balkans Center. The week before that, I was at I covered the Atlantic 10 tournaments. So if you haven't seen my interviews, just go to my Instagram, Rafiq_LouisBK.
Oh, nice. Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah, for those that didn't know. But anyways, while we're on the subject, like let me just get to talk some art entertainment. And Kay Wallace and Shauntay, they are involved in art entertainment in their own way. Like for the art and entertainment landscape, how you feel about the way it is right now in this generation? Starting with you, Kay.
Oh, wow. That's a big question, how it is in this generation. Wow. Well, one, I feel like, as my lovely Beyonce, I'm part of the Beehive, as she
Yep.
put it, nobody makes albums anymore.
Yeah.
And they're just putting out all this quick stuff. And there's a lot I could say about what's happening in this generation. And I'm gonna hit like 3 or 4 points. Nobody's putting out albums anymore. Nobody's creating bodies of work. The reason why we felt like Beyonce was so snubbed, I'm not saying Harry Styles' album wasn't good. She was snubbed because that's one of the first albums in many years that you can probably not be as big of a fan and listen to that album from beginning to end. And it's a whole body of work from beginning to end. I would say that's even more of a body of work than what she did with the Gift album from Lion King and what she did with Lemonade. Like a whole body of work. Like even so, if you listen to the songs from beginning to end, a lot of the songs are mixed into one another. You play it in your car, you feel like you are at a ball, if you understand ballroom culture, like voguing, underground ballroom culture, or you feel like you were at the club. It is going in from one another. So with that being said, with everything being so quick, if I can translate it into dance, there's a part of me that is like a little bit salty because I come from a trained background. I'm talking, I was 3 taking classes, then I did training, dance training in my public school sector. So grateful to where I'm from that they had those opportunities and resources readily available. Then I was doing both in school and out of school. Then I went to a specialty dance program in high school. Then I got my bachelor. I'm a trained dancer, professionally performing since I was 17. And either taking breaks from performing, but still training. And then now being a dance educator for almost 4 years, but also teaching dance for a total of 10 years. So I come from, you need to train. And then when you become of age, you go to auditions. Now they want our Instagrams, they want our TikToks. Yes, you may be a better dancer than this person, but she has more of a following than you. So we're going to go with this dancer. Dancers are getting signed who sometimes I don't feel like are as good as me, getting signed to agencies because they have a large following on TikTok or because they have a large following on Instagram before TikTok really blew up the way it has the past 2 and 3 years. And it's very like social media is running it. A lot of these artists, if I'm taking it back to music, are becoming well known because of how it's blowing up on TikTok. This is why I do not like really engage in a lot of the dance challenges. For example, when what's the song Normani came out with during the pandemic with Cardi B? Oh my gosh, it's slipping my mind.
Yeah.
Wild something? Is it Wild?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that song.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then
I know the video.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Up, Cardi B song Up. Okay, so those were all dance challenges, like doing the choreography from the video. And a lot of dancers were doing it. Come to find out, I don't know who's on this call, so I hope I'm not sabotaging myself. Come to find out, certain choreographers pay certain dancers that they know to do those challenges on Instagram. Because at the end of the day, it is promotion, not only for the artist, but for the choreographer. Us dancing, period, our choreography, period, is what is making a lot of these artists famous. Even if it's some of the most stupid choreography on TikTok. The more plays that song is getting, eventually, it's getting in all of our heads. Like, I personally do not really care for Ice Spice's music, but eventually that gets stuck in your head. You're like, okay, I'll put it on my phone and I'll play it a couple times. Like, eventually it does. So like what I can say about what's happening in arts and entertainment and a lot of performance is everything is quick, everything's fast, everybody wants it right now. We're skipping the development stages, we're skipping the work, and is whoever hits it on the press, whoever hits it out first, they got it. Now we'll see in a couple years if certain people have longevity. Beyonce can still compete with these artists because she has longevity and she's putting out good music. And she, at the end of the day, has the background.
Especially when she puts out that song Comfort, you got a lot of people doing dance challenges.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's able to, stay up to beat, but that's what happens when you have longevity. And so what I could say is, even though sometimes I'm not always where I feel like I want to be, like dance-wise, I have longevity. Like I have 20 plus years of training behind me. That's going to take me all the way to 70 years old. when some of the people I'm looking at may not make it to 35, they'll still be alive, but their career performance wise may not make it to 35. So yeah, I feel like on one hand it's good because people who I feel like wouldn't have gotten famous back in the early 2000s are getting famous. But on another hand, it's like we're getting a lot of trash work. And I want to start seeing work that is going to sustain, because we still listen to Michael Jackson, right? I'm not going to be listening to Ice Spice in 20 years. I'm not.
Yeah, you got a point. You know what? I remember the days when we were taking the PMA class. We took this class on, what is it, race, media, and culture.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember? Can you remember everything that you plug out of that and share it with the panel?
Oh, for the race, media, and culture class.
Yeah, that we took.
I don't remember everything. I remember me having a lot of opinions, strong opinions, and being loud about them. But I do think that sometimes race does play a part in how people are getting appreciated in the music industry, unfortunately. Let's stop nominating Beyonce for album of the year if you're not going to give her album of the year. It's almost like they're afraid to see certain people of color be too successful. Imagine her having I think she has the most Grammys like ever. And then imagine in that same night her getting the most Grammys ever and getting album of the year. I feel like that's threatening for some people.
Yeah.
And so if we're bringing race into it, if we're bringing culture into it, it's always going to come into play. A certain friend brought up colorism with Ice Spice's new come to fame, and though I don't exactly agree, I understand what she's saying. Would a woman of darker complexion been able to get off with the type of music that Ice Spice is putting out if she was of darker complexion, coarser hair, maybe a different body type? I don't think she would, because there's women who are darker than Ice Spice who are putting out great music and aren't getting the recognition that they deserve. So
do you think that has to do with like TikTok though? Like you were saying, like,
I do think it has to do with TikTok, but I do think it has to do with TikTok, definitely. And the generation that is on TikTok, like they like that music. Like my students, I was like, please stop singing that song in my class. They love that music. That's why I say I don't exactly agree with my friend who said that, but I understand why she said that, because I do feel, even as a lighter skinned woman, there, unfortunately, in our community, there's still colorism. Like it's ingrained in a lot of our brains, like this means you're better or you're more socially acceptable or prettier. I don't know that if a dark skin, this is just me being honest, Jesus, I don't know if a woman with darker complexion than Ice Spice, if she put out that music, because also the song came out with the video on TikTok,
right?
So we saw what she looked like. And she kind of has, like, I don't want to say a sexy voice, but she kind of has like a sexy voice. Like she's not rapping hard like a Lola Brooke.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like she was more appealing, and she comes off kind of soft, but she's rapping. But yeah, that's why I said I don't exactly agree with my friend, but I do feel like it has to do with TikTok. This generation loves that music. And eventually, because some of the older when I say older, like millennials, younger millennials, older millennials are on TikTok, we're like, all right, I'll put that on my cooking video so it can get more views, like type of thing. I won't dance to it, but I will put that song on my cooking video so we'll get more views. But
because that's trending.
Yeah, that's trending. It's trending. So eventually, if you're going to use the app, you're not going to use the app just because you eventually want to get some likes. You want to get some of the TikTok coin too, because the little girls are not little girls. The younger girls are getting paid
I'd like to add on to what you
You know
said.
what?
There's a choreographer named Lawam who
Mhm.
is I'm such a huge Lawam fan. I've been to her class one time because she is elite. She's like the GOAT when it comes to dancing. And she really teaches, taking that class, she really teaches like the power of movement, discipline, training, focus, all the things that will encompass a professional dancer.
Mhm.
And also about tryouts and auditions and all of these different things. And so I'm not sure exactly what, I think it was the VMAs, not sure 100%, but just recently she put out a video about choreographers being acknowledged as a category in these award shows. And so there was so much controversial issues behind it of, oh, I agree, I disagree. And so like, I agreed with that. If this artist is getting blown up because of their dance socially and how media turns it into, then I feel like the choreographers should just get as much acknowledgement as the artist. There's sometimes we don't even know the choreographers of the pieces that they're in. And so that's a struggle within itself of trying to just be silent and not having a voice in that light. So I was very happy that they did decide to have a category this year and then, have an award for them. And then after or like during the show, that category wasn't it wasn't public, it wasn't live. They did it during like the commercial break.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, so clap for what we've accomplished, which was getting a category on an award ceremony show, but then it's not good enough to make TV yet. So we're going to just announce it and then say they won.
Mhm.
And so I think that's really unfair and then still taking, hundreds of years back. And then I would like to add on to another point that you said. I personally love going to concerts. If you know me, you know I love concerts. I love front row. But I feel like because of the way how everything is like the microwave, method, when people announce their tour, it's like right after they drop their song. And so for me, I'm like, I didn't experience something. I didn't have any life changes to get me through. And your music didn't necessarily help me get through anything. And so it's hard because I'm using past experiences to relate to some of the music that's currently out. And so I wish sometimes artists I understand it's about money. I want to get this. I want to, stay relevant, but allow us to actually sit with music, deal with things that's going on in our lives. And then if I see them live, I can then now relate that to the lyrics that they're talking about and express or having, an opportunity to express it that way.
Right.
Because if it's just quick, we're missing that moment of being human and then relatable to other people. And now it's just like, well, I'm just paying for this, I'm just doing that. But I feel like media does that. It's like, put them out. This is money. They need this, the record sales and all of that other stuff, which that's their career. But for a consumer aspect of it, I'm missing the key component of why I actually want to go to support this artist in the first place.
Exactly. And that's an interesting point. Now, you obviously, I know you just finished talking, Shauntay, because I was actually going to bring up the time where when our first day taking the race, media, and culture class, then she was showing us a video of Janelle Monáe, of one of Janelle Monáe's song, like literally on first day, and talking about me and Kay Wallace's time at the PMA program, and just to showcase like artists demographics. I don't know what she was teaching us that day, but what I can tell you is she had a purpose of showing that video. Mm-hmm. So and Janelle Monáe, she's like literally she's more like an influencer as opposed to an artist that puts out good songs. Like just recently she puts out the Float song. It gives you like literally old school vibes when you listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like she represents people who I used to listen to, like India Ari, Lauryn Hill. They're all in that same category that has a significant and most powerful message to relay to their audiences, and we miss the mark when we don't appreciate those artists. And then sometimes it gets exhausting to say, I'm still trying to put up the same message of self-confidence and awareness and love and respect and community and unity, all of these different powerful messages, but there's definitely a mark that's missed. And I think that in terms of like dancing and something that you said was about having experience and getting trained. I used to work at Ailey Camp, Alvin Ailey's American Dance Theater, Ailey Camp, you know, and something, yes, I love Ailey Camp. They're my family, they're my home, love them to death. But something that I learned so much from being around such powerful people, and that name within itself is historic, and everybody knows who Alvin Ailey is and the company and what they have done. But I learned how to accept what your body can do and how to push it towards the limits, and know the difference between somebody who's going to make it this current season or you're going to last a lifetime. And what are you then going to do? Like, what do you want to, who do you want to become, and how are you going to impact your community? And so for a long time, dancing, unfortunately, the self-doubt, there's body issues, there's so much different things that happen in the dance world that people don't get to see of what it takes to be a professional dancer. And I think that programs like Ailey Camp help young ladies and gentlemen see that they can be them true selves on stage and still have a successful career. But unfortunately, if it's not on TikTok or if it's not on Instagram, they're not going to be popping. But it's one, I feel like it's just the small little victories, and then one day we'll get there. But I'm here for the journey, and I think that I enjoy TikTok and I enjoy seeing it, but I think that there's a difference, and people don't, those lines get very blurred between what's important and what's not important.
That's a very interesting point. Erin, you have anything to add as far as like the way art and entertainment has evolved in this generation?
I mean, I think having two sons who are almost 12 and 14, it's very different.
Very
different from listen, I don't want to sound like old and bitter, because I feel like I'm a pretty cool mom. Like, we've done little TikTok dances, with the boys, whatever. So I get it, but the thing that concerns me, obviously what you guys are saying, like the longevity component and true talent is getting passed over for people who are just getting, that quick fix and just like go, or even just the whole choreography thing that you were talking to. I know that there were a lot of Black creators who were creating all of the dances who were not getting credit, but the white creators were. So like Charlie D'Amelio or whatever she was like blowing up, but no one was ever crediting the choreographers. And I remember there was a big backlash about that. I don't know. It just feels like there's like this, dare I say, like some morals lacking, like everything is just so instant gratification. They're so numb to emotion, like they just scroll. They think things are funny that are, in my opinion, are not funny. Making fun of people, just certain things that you would get beat up after school for doing some of those things. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a little bit of that old school in me that really gets irritated with a lot of the stuff that's going on with social media. And it really is frustrating when you see people blow up who really don't have, listen, it's great to see somebody who has a great story, who it's authentic and genuine, and it blows up and you want to cheer for them, right? But then there's those people that are very calculated, who are doing it and figuring out the algorithms and planning all the things, and they're taking space from the true artists who really have dedicated their life and their soul to dance or music or whatever. And that's unfortunate. I hate to see that, but I think it's going to be a matter of time. I'm hoping that some of that stuff starts to kind of like recalibrate and, can find a healthier alignment. But it's really interesting to watch how TikTok has like a chokehold on the youth. It's wild.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are using TikTok, like seriously. I remember being
Money,
as a
big
kid.
money, big money.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a lot of content creators and social media influencers that build their brand straight off of using TikTok and Instagram. Whether they, or even if all they're doing is just showcasing the day in the life or the events that they cover, that they build their own engagement using TikTok. And Kay Wallace, you know what? This is where we transition to you. I noticed that you joined the Amazon influencer program. Like, why don't you give us a little bit about, for those that are interested, just to get other people's interested in joining the Amazon influencer program, like, why don't you give us a little bit about what it is, like what you do for them and what type of products you're promoting?
Well, I can honestly say that my TikTok has grown in the last 3 months, just from me being myself. So that's how I got, when I applied for the influencer. And I can honestly say too, I recommend anybody who potentially wants to make extra income to apply, because they are bringing down like their expectations of how many followers people should have, because at the end of the day, it's making Amazon more money. You say, hey, buy this product that goes on your AirPods, and you can put a little tracker on it, and you don't gotta go to the Apple Store to get an AirTag or whatever. That's making Amazon more money. So if you got like, even now I have, if you have even 2,000 followers on Instagram, they're no longer sticking with their, oh, you need 10K followers. You just need to look like you have some type of traction on one of your social media followings, which I use my TikTok. And my TikTok, I have over 100K likes, and I've grown my following in a short period of time from being myself, doing what I'm doing. Because I can honestly say, when I post, unless I'm doing a TikTok dance or a dance that's viral on TikTok, when I post my actual dance work, like I did this whole concept video to Virgo's Groove, from the Virgo's Groove song from Beyonce's album, and I got like 20 likes on it. But I got 30K likes on the video where I was talking about LSU versus South Carolina, the first game in the regular season. You know what I'm saying? And I was standing here.
That was a good video.
Yeah, I was standing here right here in my room, and I said something really quick. And those are the videos when I'm giving like a quick 15-second to 60-second opinion on something. Even I've gotten a lot of traction on my videos from talking about the housewives, because, and I talk about the housewives a lot. Like I'm an OG housewives fan. Like I'm talking about Orange County. I was
I was
kid.
gonna say, what's your favorite housewife?
I was just gonna say, I love
My
Orange
favorite is
County.
obviously Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So even though New Jersey, I'm over, we can have a whole different separate conversation about housewives. I will, but like I watched it from the beginning, okay? And so that's how I built a lot of my following. I can say I can be more consistent with my Amazon influencer. It does take work. Being somebody who's building a following on social media, that's why a lot of these influencers, they do it full time, because it takes work. If you want to build high quality content or content that's super engaging, you have to spend hours of your day doing it, from editing your video. Like a lot of my videos on my TikTok are straight off my phone. No super editing, did everything on TikTok. But a lot of these other influencers, as you can see, they're setting up their camera here to show themselves waking up. They're showing themselves getting in their car and driving out the door. And then they're getting back. That takes time. That takes your day. That's why they're doing it. And so I've noticed that a lot of Amazon influencer videos are not like, hey, buy this, hey, buy this. Or they're just like getting dressed and they're like, oh yeah, this brush, it works very well. You can find it in my Amazon storefront. Like that. That's all they're doing. They're not making separate videos like, yeah, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. They're showing themselves in the actual process using, and that takes time. That takes strategizing. And being that I have all these other sectors of things that I'm doing right now, my little TikTok career is a very much small side thing that I'm
right now.
Yeah, right now. And
Well,
eventually
it would get bigger, it would get bigger if you actually promote some Amazon Prime content, because Shauntay
it would, but we also have to find more time in the day for me to do that. And that's the problem. Like I still need to go to my 7 to 4 because I'm a dance teacher. So a school, it's not even 9 to 5. We're talking 7 to 4. Then I still have to meet my obligations as a dancer, training, letting those creative juices continue to flow. So I'm not just training and trying to dance for somebody, but so that people can see that I'm also a choreographer, I'm also a creative director. I also understand visuals for movement, for acting, for, you know, stage productions and videos. I understand it from that perspective too, as a dancer. And so if I start getting a coin from TikTok, then I'll put that higher up on the priority list, but I have to go with what's giving me a coin right now. And that is obviously teaching dance and being creative in that nature, being a dancer, being creative in that nature, and then being an entrepreneur, choreographer, photographer, all of that good stuff. So
I'll say this: it's because of that mindset you managed to put together a little music video you were in like just recently. Like,
yes,
what that whole experience of actually being able to dance in a music video with some other top professionals that aren't entertainment.
You spend months to create something that's worth 2 minutes. That was the first time, see, because of my media and background and working with the camera and stuff like that, a lot of videos that I've done of me dancing in the past, I set up my tripod with my camera and capture myself from different angles and then edit it, and it's usually like off the fly. And with this, I paid for rehearsal space for me and my dancer. I paid a videographer. I paid for the space where we shot the video. I paid for costumes. I paid to have props and things like that. Like, and I want to do like 6 or 7 more. I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna get that money from this year. But it takes time and it takes a lot of money, because there was a lot of me saying of going back to the drawing board, and then life comes into play where like you have a creative block and things like that. But it definitely showed me that I'm very much capable of doing these things. It's like something that I didn't get paid for, something that I had to put out money for, but it's something that I'm like the most proud of as of recently. Like, I keep watching it like wow, this looks so professional, like great body of work. He shot most of it on his iPhone. He's just also the videographer, was great at what he does too. But with anything, if somebody's not hiring you or inviting you to the table, and I think that's the point of all 3 of us being here today, make your table. Like,
Exactly.
because Paris Goebel, who was Rihanna's choreographer and has been Rihanna's choreographer for some odd years, you know, a lot of the greater world outside the dance community came to know her through the Super Bowl performance as of recently. She was making her own videos.
Yeah.
And posting them on YouTube 10, 12 years ago, and getting her friends to do it with her and posting her own choreography. And if you analyze her choreography, it's very much unconventional. If you break down her choreography, you can't even exactly call it hip hop. She'd be doing things like for 1/8 count. Are we calling it hip hop, or are we saying this her choreography, but it works and it's clean and it's solid? And she became known just because she just kept putting out her own work. And I think sometimes we frown upon that because back to instant gratification. We want it right here. We want it right now. We want everybody to see that we're popping. We don't want to have to build a social media account from 0 to 2,000 or whatever. Sometimes it gets discouraging looking at your business social media account and you got 300 followers. But then what happens in 10 years? And again, it goes back to longevity. She could have been like, nobody's going to look at my YouTube videos. And now she's one of the greatest choreographers in the commercial dance industry in the world. Yep. In the world, period. And she's from New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And so that's the mindset too that I had with like even doing my off the fly TikTok videos, even putting out my choreography more, strategizing more dance. I don't even like to call it content, dance work, dance pieces that I'm putting out, because somebody's going to pick it up. Somebody's going to look at it. Somebody's going to be like, yeah, she has it.
You never know who's watching.
Yeah. And like Paris Goebel, and even people like Sean Bankhead and Jaquel Knight.
Yes,
like a lot of these choreographers who are giving us what were we talking about? Our dance challenges before, or are working with some of our favorite artists. Like, we're looking at Sean Bankhead's work all the time. We're looking at Jaquel Knight's choreography all the time. They work with multiple artists on multiple different fronts. We're looking at Paris Global's work all the time. They were not necessarily working dancers prior, especially not Sean Bankhead. He'll tell you, like Sierra, he was talking to Sierra, he was like, I went to Sierra, like he was in the video with Sierra recently, like they was recording like a video on Instagram or TikTok, and he was like, I went to your audition for was it Goodies? He's like, I went to your audition for Goodies. She was like, really? And he was like, yeah. He was like, I wasn't good. A lot of them aren't necessarily dancers, but they know how to visualize and they know how to create and do what's good for them. A lot of dancers are turned away because somebody told them they didn't fit the image of being a dancer, or they didn't fit somebody's idea. So if you don't fit somebody's idea, make a new idea. Like, who cares? Like,
absolutely.
We don't have all this technology because somebody's like, nobody is writing on paper. Nobody's using pens. Well, somebody said, okay, we need to make a better pen than dipping it in this ink. We need to have the ball, what is it? The ball, the clicking pen. We need to have some actual pens and actual writing utensils. Somebody said, okay. And a lot of us, I think that's why all of us are sitting here, because we're visionaries. And we see things beyond what's actually in front of us.
I think the best thing that I've learned in media is that you have to invest in yourself mentally and financially. And mentally, like how you were saying, you have to know that you are amazing, that you believe in yourself, that whatever doors are closed, that you have the opportunity to open up multiple doors for yourself. And so I think that that's truly important, and like how we take space in the career that we're in. And financially, I definitely think that we have the opportunity that people don't know. You have to buy the things that you want, like you said, costumes, setting things up, having the the money doesn't grow on trees. And so having the opportunity to support yourself, people take for granted and think that everything is going to be given to them. But just investing in yourself is huge in this career. And I think people always want that, like, what's next? I can make it. But if you don't believe in yourself, then nobody else will believe in you. But if you don't financially take care of yourself, then it's not going to be given to you.
You have anything to add to this conversation, Erin, as far as like what you learned from what Kay Wallace is saying about the topics that I just don't unearth?
Yeah, I think it's everything amazing. Both of them have such great points, and I totally agree. I think, especially as women, we really have to go the extra mile, and that can be really challenging on certain days when you have to believe in yourself and you have to keep showing up for yourself, because the world definitely isn't going to do that for us. Lots of days. So we have to do it, and especially, as women, it's hard. But I think one of the things that's really important to add to all of the great points that you ladies have made is just, I think when it comes to the longevity and the art, I think when it comes from your soul and you're truly passionate and you're really diving into that passion, at some point it's going to hit with somebody. And whether that's one person or 50 million people, I don't think as a true artist, the number really matters as much to me. It's about the connection and someone seeing me and like my art for what it was, even if it's just a photo that I took of a little girl and her mom and dad love it. Like, that means something to me. And no, it's not paying my bills, but it continues to fuel my passion for, the art that I love. And I think there's a fine line that we have to walk as artists between, money and art. And it's kind of like always that battle of like, yeah, do I spend the time making the TikTok video because I'm trying to get a sponsor, or I'm trying to get, whatever brand to see me, or do I really just stick to my art? So I feel like there's this internal battle that, creators and artists have. But yeah, I think if you're not getting what you want and you truly believe in it, you need to go for it, regardless of what anybody's telling you. Because if you are determined, you believe in yourself and you're passionate, it can take you places you could never imagine. And especially even for me, like, I started my thing much later in life. Like, I have a business that I run separately. That is what pays my bills. But the Ballers Journal thing, it was, my love for basketball runs deep, and it always has. So for me to kind of take all of these pieces and put them together much later in life with having kids and having a business and doing all these things, it's never too late to follow your dreams or let your passion guide you. And do what you love. Like, find something you really, really love and go for it, because that's one of the things that I could never even imagine, the experiences or the people I have met over the last 4 years of creating something that I just truly feel passionate about. But I've spent money. I've definitely spent money on it. No doubt about it. And there's been late nights and early mornings and tons of editing and money coming out that wasn't necessarily, I didn't know if I would ever get it back. But it was worth every second, every second.
You got an interesting point. And you know what? On that note, we're going to transition into another topic, which is kind of the whole topic of this entire panel. Like, I'm going to ask you just one question, Erin. As somebody that started off his own publication called The Ball's Journal with Lawrence, and then covering all those basketball events, it's like, why don't you talk, how do you define yourself as being your own media boss?
How would I define that? That's a good question. I love being my own boss. I'm not even going to lie. I love being my own boss because I'm in charge and I do what I want. And I don't have anyone telling me, yes, no, you can, you can't. That's really important for me as a human, but also, you know, as a creative. I want to express myself and I don't want to have somebody else put parameters around me and how I am envisioning something or how I'm seeing something come to life. So that's probably the freedom is really, really important to me, to just kind of create however it comes, you know, through me. That's really important to me. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah. Shauntay, like, anything to add?
I think she's fixing her
Light.
fixing her light.
Okay, we'll get to her in a minute whenever she comes back. But for you, K. Wallace, how do you find yourself as to be your own media boss, especially in dancing and photography and music videos?
It gets a lot at a point in time. I do just kind of like I think these past 6 months, I really, since this is about to be my 3rd year in like operating my business as a media professional, I think I just started to embrace the fact that this is what I like to do. I like capturing people. I like being like visualizing. I like the idea of, I never know who I'm taking a photo of. Think about like all the artists who have passed away, or all the famous people who have passed away, or people are capturing pictures when they first started. Like people have pictures of Tupac when he was just started, and they didn't know who he was going to be. Like, and it's not like, oh, later I got a picture, like my cousins play for Bergen Catholic, so I have some photos from Bergen Catholic games, and there's a great possibility that I may have been photographing somebody who's going to go to the NFL, right? It's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell this, but it's like you never know who you're capturing. Even my babies who I do the smash cake photo shoots of, who knows who they're gonna grow up and be? Like, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? Or the families that I've captured, and like the kids that I've captured at Sweet 16s and things like that. Like I take it, though sometimes, like especially in the first 2 years, I would get discouraged because I'm like, oh, I want more clients because I want more money. But then, like I said, like the past 6 months, I really just like embraced the fact that this is what I love to do. You come or you don't. And I've actually gotten more business from just maintaining that mindset. But it's also like it's very important as a photographer and a videographer. We are the I don't want to call timekeepers, but we are capturing those moments and times, because a lot of times people are taking pictures on their phones and things like that. Photos get lost, but as a photographer, like, you know, typically we put it on the hard drive or some type of drive that saves over years and years of time. Like I have plenty of photographer friends who have pictures of DMX, who have pictures of different artists who may have passed on, or who have pictures of people in general. Like we are the timekeepers. And so I take that as like, a responsibility. And the more I've just like transitioned how I am as a dance artist, where it doesn't matter that they didn't get paid for that video I just did. I just put out my work. I transitioned that same thought process over to my media business. And whether a client is calling me or not, I know I'm looking at my camera right now. That's why I keep looking that way. I have something special. And so, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, Shauntay, I know you just got on, you probably didn't hear the whole day, but why don't you talk about defining yourself as being your own media boss?
Well, I think the word media boss can be misconstrued by whoever's perspective looking into your life. And so to me, being a boss is going at my own pace and knowing that I can only do what I know how to do. I think people have teams and they reach out and they do research. But for me, it's like if I know that I have this deadline, I make that deadline. But if I don't want to make this other deadline, I don't have to make this other deadline because my platform is going to be here forever. You know, that's my goal, my hope. And so back to what you said about the photography and it being, you know, priceless and life and generations. I think that about stories. You know, I don't want to be in this world where I feel like we are lost with the history that happens and who the artist really is. And so I really want to create a community where we know the real stories, we know the real truths that happen in people's lives. And besides them being an artist, we know their true, like we said, morals and things that make them who they are. And so for me, just being a boss is having this platform where people can contribute to creating a journey for themselves and having a voice where they feel like they matter and what I have to say is going to impact the future generations to come.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, we all work here being professionals. I mean, look, I just got out of college 4 years ago and I'm doing all this media stuff and all I keep reminding myself is as a lead tape thing, but I'm doing I'm being my own media boss, hosting nothing but this sports stuff. Erin, you were on the show last year when we talked about the Final Four when your Kansas Jayhawks was in it. You going up against Villanova, which is literally a glorified blue blood. But I interviewed you about it. I'm being my own media boss while going all the way to summer basketball tournaments, or covering college basketball tournaments, or interviewing WNBA players virtually. I'm being my own media boss, and that's led to any financial stability. That's all I keep thinking about. And at some point in my life, I'm thinking, you know what? When like, am I wrong for going this long without a job, without working at 9 to 5 and being my own media boss instead? That's all I can think about.
Mm-hmm. You have to be passionate about what you do. We only have one life.
That's
exactly. Right. Now,
and you're young enough to be able to do that. Like that, being young is a huge advantage to following your passion. If you know what that is and you can lock into it and go for it, it gets riskier as you get older. If you have kids, whatever, there's more expenses, it gets a little trickier. So, you know, if you have the opportunity and the youth to do it, you should absolutely go for it.
Exactly. Now, I want to touch about showcasing some of your favorite projects and collaborations that you guys have. Like, Erin, starting with you, like, what are some of your favorite collaborations and projects that you had after starting the Balls Journal in 2019?
Oh, there's so many. It's so hard to like narrow it down. I mean, obviously a highlight is meeting Kobe. He came to Harlem to Millbank and he launched his Mamba League at Millbank in Harlem. And I'm not even going to lie to you. I was not a Kobe fan. Like I wasn't, I mean, obviously I knew who he was and respected his game, but like, I wasn't one of those. I mean, there are diehard Kobe fans. I will never claim to be that, but I will say I was so impressed with him and his presence. And Lawrence and I walked up to him to introduce ourselves and we had a t-shirt that says the Baller, you know, the logo of the Ballers Journal on it. And we handed it to him and introduced ourselves and just told him a little bit about what we were doing. And he was like really great. I mean, he just listened and was smiling and nodding and was like was like, that's amazing. Keep going, keep going. And that was like, I was like, whoa. And then he goes, all right, so let's take a picture. And he like held the shirt up and I was like, what? And he's like, what are you doing? Get in the picture. And Lawrence and I were like, what? So he stood there and held the shirt and we're both, I look awful in the picture, by the way. Of course I do, because I'm like, my eyes are like this, because I'm like, is this really happening right now? So that was such an amazing, amazing moment that I will never, ever forget. And I'm very, very big into meditation and mindfulness. And I realized after the fact, after Kobe had unfortunately passed, for some random reason, he just kept like the things about him and meditation kept popping up. And so I dove a lot deeper into that and really, really have like a whole new level of respect and love for him that I never even knew about. And I often wish I would have known that before I would have had that conversation with him. But anyway, that's one of the highlights, but also just, obviously he's a big time celebrity, but even just the people in the community that do so much that you don't know their name and you probably never will. But there are people again, going back to Millbank and Harlem who grew up there, who were kids in the program there, who are now, giving back. And those people are amazing to me because it's really the love that just shines through for the community, for the kids, for their youth, for continuing traditions. So being able to connect with people like that is really amazing. And again, with the photographs, I do a lot of street ball in the city. And obviously my favorite park, if you know me, it's Dykeman. Dykeman is my home away from home in the summer. I love, love, love it there. But photographing and talking to Pop Smoke there. And then, having him pass, that was really oh, that was hard. But last summer, Meek Mill came through and they played Dreams and Nightmares. And I was right up in his face with the camera, capturing moments like that are so cool because it's basketball history, New York City, it's pop culture, it's all of these elements coming together. But I mean, it's really the connection and the love of it all that has really, been really overwhelmingly amazing and life-changing for me personally. From every single person that I have interviewed or photographed, I've learned something about, myself and ways to grow and expand my mind and my perspective and my heart, which is really, really important to me. But yeah, and another really, really great one was last year at the WNBA draft. I got a photo of Henny and Dawn Staley that went viral. And that was a really cool feeling because it was really cool to support the girls, obviously. And I was with the girls the day before the draft on the hoop bus and capturing those moments. And then to see them get drafted, I was crying like a mama. I was so proud of all of them, knowing that, they're beginning this really cool journey. But that was a really cool photo. It was just an organic moment that just happened. And shout out to Christina Williams for, I love working with her with Girls Talk Sports. So, yeah, there's just so many, but I just think, obviously the celebrities and the famous people, but it's really the people, the coaches, the mentors, the people who give their time, their money, and dedicate their life to really making a difference in the communities in New York City. That's what speaks to my heart and soul. And those are the people that I really, really enjoy connecting with because it's life-changing. It's really life-changing for me.
Yeah, I can tell. I saw you love doing photography at the WNBA draft last year. And obviously, it's thanks to Christina Williams. I'm told it's thanks to Christina Williams that you got plugged into that.
I did. Yes. She brought me along, which is another woman supporting women, which, I always am all about that. So anytime that I can shout out I definitely want to get your IGs, ladies. And just anytime I can share work or shout out or recommend, I'm all about it, especially for the females, because that makes my heart happy too, to really, especially, I'm not as familiar with the entertainment industry, but in the basketball world, please, us girls, we got to stick together because it is a boys club. So, we definitely have to support and I love doing that. I love to see the girls shine. So anything that I can do to help, I'm always happy to.
Exactly. And you know what? You left out one particular collaboration that you've had the past few years, Erin.
Which one?
I'll give you a hint. pros play there during the summer as well.
Oh my, how could I forget? Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, Bernard's gonna be mad at me. Yes. So Nike Pro City is my baby. And I love. Last year was my first year, the first year back from the pandemic. And wow, what a summer. It was so much fun. It's a totally different vibe being inside. It's the opposite of Dykeman. And I love both. They're both I love them both. But Pro City is amazing. And last summer we had Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and Obi Toppin.
Yeah, they lost in Pro City, but don't worry, they're in the 15 in the playoffs this year, so that's fine.
And Cole Anthony came through, Jose Alvarado, which is a big one. So we definitely had some pro with some other pros as well, but some really high level basketball talent, which was really awesome to document and experience. And it's going to be even bigger and better this summer. So definitely stay tuned for that, and definitely come by if you can, because it's a lot of fun. Pro City is a lot of fun, and we have the best. We have Joe Pope on the mic and DJ Authorize, and I'm dancing the entire night. I never stop. I can't help myself.
Yeah, you gotta build up your dancing skills. Luckily, you were two women that knows how to
Yeah,
dance.
seriously, you guys need to come and we can do a TikTok. But yeah, so thank you for calling me out on that. I needed that. So yeah, I love Pro City.
Yeah. All right, Kay Wallace, talk about some of your favorite projects that you've done throughout your entire dance, choreography, and photography and music video careers.
Back in 2021, I was commissioned by the Arts Council of England with Sign Dance Collective, which is a dance and theater company based out of High Wycombe. And that opportunity, see, this is why I always tell people, I think this happened. I think I've seen it happen in the dance industry more than anything. Like, do not turn your nose down to your peers. When I say peers, like, they might be on the same level as you. They might have like the same amount of success as you. I don't know how to put it, but your peers. They may not be the same age, but your peers. Don't turn your nose down to your peers. I had somebody who was a friend of mine. He has now since passed away, but he was working with this company. Like I said, it's a dance and theater company for years. And I want to say for a good solid 4 years. And he was traveling the world because they are known in Europe. What I will say about Europe is they obviously value the arts, not pop culture arts, but the arts way more than America does. Like, you can actually like pay your bills in America, working with arts companies in Europe. And he was telling them for years, you gotta work with Caylia, you gotta work with Caylia, you gotta work with Caylia. And he always used to participate in my open mic nights. His name is Lionel McCauley. He used to always participate in my open mic nights. When I was first started Through the Eyes, which is my more of my nonprofit business baby venture. And I was interviewing young and up-and-coming artists. He was one of the first people I interviewed. And sadly enough, we didn't get a chance to work together with this company in England because he passed away subsequently in 2020. And so he recommended me and they worked with me and I went over there. And that's where my passion for media and dance collided too, on a greater scale where I was being paid. And because they commissioned me to not just create a solo, but to do an international exchange show. So it was like a live show in New Jersey happening here, and it was a live show happening in High Wycombe. And I was there in High Wycombe with my 2 computers set up, and I was making sure the sound was running correct. I was so nervous because I've never done anything like that before. The people who hired me to do it didn't know how to do it. I had to break it down in my brain of how I was going to work myself. The biggest thing was sound, obviously. We had this big projector set up. There were artists in the High Wycombe show who were also using the projector, so we had to make sure that translated across the screen too. It was like a big technology curve, and it was like I was the only one who could figure it out. And that's not only one of my biggest collaborations thus far, but it's my most precious collaboration because of how it came about. some of my biggest collaborations, and I feel like I can mention this because the show is about to come out. I got a background gig on Netflix with a show coming out called Survival Up the Thickest with Michelle. I cannot say her last name, but if you watch The Circle on Netflix, she is the host of The Circle on Netflix, and she's also a comedian. It's her show. She signed a deal with Netflix, and this is one of the shows she signed a deal with. And this is, if anybody believes in God, this is how God works. The episode that I'm background on was already shot earlier. They were filming from September to December. It was already shot like earlier. It's one of the first episodes, but it got rained on. It was the episode. I hope I'm not saying too much. Jesus.
It's all good. It's all good.
I didn't sign an NDA, so
exclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't sign an NDA, so
I won't say anything.
the episode, it's like a supposed to be depicting a Essence magazine photo shoot. So their original idea was to have the photo shoot outside. And that particular day, it got rained on. So I'm talking the camera, everything, the whole Netflix, everybody got rained on. And so, eventually they go back to not headquarters, but they go back to Netflix executives, and people start watching episodes and they pour more money in. So the reshoot was what I was in, where they shot it in an actual like big behind photography, videography studio somewhere in Brooklyn. And I got that. I didn't audition. I didn't submit. Most background gigs you have to submit. Somebody, again, be nice to your peers. Somebody who watched me grow up, she's a little bit older than me, not that much. I think she's like 7 years older than me. She called me. I was on my way home from work, annoyed, hot and bothered. And she was like, "Hey." I was like, "Hey." I wasn't like, "Why are you calling me?" But our families know each other. It was like kind of weird. I was like, "Oh, like." And she was like, "So I've been watching your Instagram," mind you, she watches my stories and things like that, but I can't say that she interacts much. Like, she doesn't comment. She's not one of the people that she does like my photos. She's like, "I've been watching your Instagram and I'm calling you because I'm working on a production and it seems like something you'll be interested in." I'm not background, because how sometimes you can be background and you're background with like a whole bunch of people. Nobody's really going to see you. It's just a matter of fact that they needed bodies there. I'm background playing a photo shoot assistant. And like, this is how things come together, because when she's first telling me about it, she's a photographer. Her and her husband do a lot of the photography on major television sets like Peacock, Netflix. They both started out with Nick Cannon, Wallin' Out. So a lot of the photography that you see on some of our favorite shows that have come out, they have done. And so I'm thinking, oh, you need help doing like photo shoot assistants like on set, because I know she takes photos on set. And I was so misunderstood. She was like, the day before, she was like, "No, girl, you're in it. You're background." They hired her as an on-set photographer because they needed somebody who was actually going to take the pictures. That's going to make it look like the actor was taking the pictures. And the whole orchestration of it just blew my mind, because I kid you not, I put Netflix on my vision board for 2022.
Wow.
Did not know how I was going to get there. I do have training in acting, but never really have been on the forefront, major acting production or anything like that. But I have trained in acting. Still don't have an agent. I have a modeling agent, but outside of that, I don't have a dance agent. I don't have a acting agent. So I don't know how I'm gonna get there. But I told everybody all of 22 I'm gonna be on Netflix. She called me in November. And so at the end of November, I told everybody the promise is in December. Everybody likes to give up on their vision board once November 15th hits, like, the year's over. Thanksgiving is next week. The year is over. No, it's not. You still have about 45 days of this year left, okay? And yeah, I shot the episode in December. It was like a 15-hour day. But the crazy thing was, to me, like, somebody called me who watched me grow up. Somebody, you know what I'm saying? So the biggest thing I can say is be nice to your peers, because both of my biggest situations thus far, I also danced for the WNBA last year. Both of our
The
biggest,
fake is good.
yeah, both of my
Right.
biggest, my
Talk about
some
that
of my
experience.
biggest things thus far is just me being myself. Just me trusting that I put in the work since I was a kid, and that God is going to take care of the rest, and I don't have to be in a hurry, that he is providing me with longevity. So if I can share anything about being a believer and knowing Jesus Christ, he is providing me with longevity, because nothing that I can say was my biggest job came from an audition, came from submitting. It just came from me being Caylia Wallace, and that's it. So yeah.
I love that so much.
Oh, thank you.
So good.
Well,
Great.
let us know how we can watch.
Back on acting. Now, oh yeah, get to you, Sean. Yeah, get to you, Shauntay. Thoughts on what Kay Wallace and Erin said so far, and share your project. Cause go yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. Well, I'll talk a little bit about yesterday a little bit later, but for me, what I had previously discussed, getting an opportunity to work at Ailey Camp was life-changing for me. And so having those type of mentors and seeing the young faces of public school children who like never really have this opportunity to just come to a company to dance with and, you know, have a summer was amazing. And then I fast forward that until like a few years later. And so I remember being on the radio station and someone talking about like her hopes and dreams. And I wasn't like hating on her, but like you said, she had a vision board and she was talking about all of these things that happened. And I was like, yeah, I feel like they happen to like certain people and like, it's not like realistic, you know, like, oh, I can make this vision board or I can have these goals. And like, I can't like it just didn't at that point in my life, like connect for me. And so she once like asked me like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what's your biggest, like, what's on your bucket list? And so I remember her saying like, well, I'm not a professional dancer anymore and I haven't danced in years, but I was like, I want to, you know, do halftime for the Brooklyn Nets one day. And so she was just like, okay, and you will. And I'm like, all right, maybe, I don't know, you know, maybe. And then I started going back to Italy and started doing that. And then Tweety, a huge choreographer in the industry as well, she also has worked in so many studios, but one of my friends was like, oh yeah, we do this at PMT Rock, their company, they do the halftime performances, like you should join our company for like an intensive. And so like I did, and I was like so scared, so nervous. There were so many dancers that was like a part of it. And it was like life dreaming. I would never forget the moment. But like you said, like to prepare, it took like so long for us to prepare. And then I remember like the day of like, I didn't know, I just felt like I was going to explode. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe like this is actually happening. And then like going through like the tunnel, and I was like, I'm forgetting every 8 count in my head. Like, I don't know what to think, what to say. And just having those like lights go off and then the lights come back on and then like performing for 3 minutes and then it like going back off and then the game continues. I was like, I just can't believe that I just did that. And it felt like 15 seconds, but I was like, I can't believe that I accomplished something that was like on my bucket list and something that I dreamed about forever. And then fast forwarding into media, I remember creating a list of people that I want to interview or be around or just learn from. And I remember making a phone call at the beginning of one of my first ever events and being like, you know, I just don't know if I can do this. Like I'm about to hold the mic or like I'm about to be backstage. I don't really know. And then, you know, my first name is Shauntay. And the first person that walked up to me was Roxanne Shauntay. And I was like, oh, she is like the GOAT. Like, what do I say? How do I breathe? You know, and so obviously the icebreaker was our name. Like, you know, my name is Shauntay. My name is Shauntay. And then, you know, I got the opportunity to meet Rod Digga and then MC Light. So learning from those legends in the industry was just like so impactful and motivating for me just to see like and hear their stories and all of the struggles that they've been through in their careers. And you know, I have so many concerts, so much things that I have gone through, one thing that, you know, yesterday was, and I'm still thinking about it now, actually, because I didn't know it was going to impact me the way that it was. But to think about for myself that I've loved Tiana Taylor since the moment that she came out, and to see her growth throughout her career of, you know, dancer,
Growth from the
singer,
time of
artist. and then I think she's the underdog, and I think she's so underrated. And then her feeling like she has to be forced to retire in an industry that she's not appreciated at, I'm like devastated at. But then she wants to be a director and go into acting, and then that's a whole different other industry that you have to deal with and grow through. And yesterday was just so amazing. And the movie hasn't come out yet. I think it's called 1001, and it's going to come out. And so I'm not doing any spoiler alerts, but it's based upon like a mother really loving their child, especially in Harlem, when you feel like you have nothing and your back is against the wall. How do you provide and how do you survive in a world where everyone is telling you, no, you can't do it? And so from the child's point of view, he was in the system. And, how do you get through that and still believe that you are somebody? Was really powerful. And so a lot of people, for me personally, don't know that like I was in foster care and like I was in a system. So everything that I saw in the movie, I felt like, man, that was in my past, but I felt like my blood boiling. Like, yeah, I remember those moments, or I remember this family that I stay with, or I remember not having people that I felt like supported me and feeling like I was never going to make it. Like I remember all of those feelings that happened in the movie. And, again, there's no spoilers, but to see the growth within the movie of her son and being smart, there was a line that she did say was like, I know that I'm going to be okay because I know that I won with you. And raising him, still giving him a chance at life. And so being at moments like that and like that have a deeper meaning, something that I can personally connect with, is just transformational for me. And I could walk away with, this morning I called my sister like, hey sis, do you remember this? Or like, you remember that from our childhood? But having those like conversations that spark something from an event that I've covered or been at, for me, it's like the reason why I continue to get up every day and like to go about that, because like, you would never know what anybody is going through. And so just to have a platform like Short and Sweet ENT, I want to still have that platform for people who you never know what they're going through. You may catch them on a good day when they're just finishing their concert, but they may have stage fright, they may have this, they may have all of these things going on that like we never know about that pushed them to that point. And so I just I'm still in the moment because I still want the world to see it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. It is a great movie, but I think that moments where, but I think that there's so many events and concerts that I've been at, but especially the concerts, we feel like we know, because of social media, we feel like we know these artists, we know them, we know their lives, we know their families, but it's like, we don't really know what they're going through. We may see it played out 24/7, but we don't know how it impacts their lives. We don't know the repercussions of what's going to happen because it's on Front Street. But to be at events where I can hear stories like this and feel like, oh, I relate because I too have been there, but have gotten through so much, is the reason why I literally get up every single day and work. And I'm also a full-time elementary school teacher. And so when I went to work this morning, just like seeing my students and seeing them like smile and then seeing them cry, it's like elementary. They're like, oh my God, they never cry. It's like they cry all of the time. But just to know that they go through so much, and if I can be there for them to just listen to whatever stories that they have, and to know that they too probably 100% have difficult lives in the way that I feel like I can relate to, just having somebody like an ear to listen to is like, okay, I'm at work. They want to know what I did last night. Do I tell them about the movie? Do I not tell them about the movie? And I did. And just having like these conversations with them to know, like, and to keep reinforcing to them, like, you are somebody, you are going to make it, like, focus. It was so much today. I was just like, you don't want to take this quiz, but like, you want to be a basketball player. Like, they go to school, they have to learn, they have to be respectful. And so they don't see it now, but I'm like, I have to instill that in them so they know that they will be somebody and like somebody supported them. So that's like the biggest things that I have learned or walked away from, is just like, we are somebody and our stories will be told regardless of all of the no's that we have gotten.
Yeah, we got so many. Yeah, because we got so many. We got so many no's. Like, seriously, I mean, Beyonce knows, or they just redirect you to somebody else. That's just pretty much it. I mean, I've gotten those. I have so many no's in my life. I can't even get to tell you.
Those are just redirections. They're not,
Yes,
no,
redirections.
they're just redirections. And I think a really important point that I think all three of us brought up, but just to kind of like tie the bow around it, is when you're doing something that you love and you're getting those referrals and you're getting those opportunities to go to a movie premiere that really resonates with you and your experience, it's when you follow that passion and you're doing something that you love and you're being that media boss, right? If you pay attention, that God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to give you signs and redirect you. A no is not a no, it's a redirection to a better place for your story, your journey, your lessons. So I always say it to my boys every day. We talk about it. I have all my little catchphrases, but it's always lessons, not losses. And so those no's could be the biggest blessing you ever received. You have no idea where you're being redirected to. But I think if you pay attention and you're following your passion and you're following your heart, you're always going to get confirmation in small ways, big ways. But if you pay attention and you stay in those moments of gratitude, they multiply and they continue to show up for you in the places and the spaces and the people that are going to continue to guide you on the right path. And I think that's a huge part of being a media boss, being an entrepreneur, being an artist, being a creative. It's really just, locking into that and paying attention to all the different signs that you're getting, because you have no idea who, like you're saying, be kind to your peers. You have no idea who's going to pick up the call and be like, no, you have to call her. She's it. She's the one to cover this, or be there, or do this, whatever, or, all those things, or, speaking it into existence, like both of you gave examples of. It's powerful. It really is. So I think if you love it and you want to do it and you're passionate about it, go for it and pay attention.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Now, I'm going to open it up to all the three attendees of the panel for any other three women that's in the panel that want to ask any questions. Like, you guys have the floor. Ask anything to these fine young ladies working in the industry.
I'll ask a question. Hi, everyone. My name is Shara. What keep you guys motivated in this industry? Because I know there are some moments where, like, you may feel stuck. Like, is there anything that you do to keep yourself motivated, or any advice that you'll give to like anyone who feels stuck in where they are now? Like, whether it be like exercise, it can go from anywhere. Like, what do you guys do in these moments and downtime to keep you motivated in your industry?
I personally exercise 4 to 5 days a week. I feel like that keeps me going, like, in general, whether like, I received some tough like news, I would say, in the past year in my personal life in multiple different areas of my personal life. And working out has definitely kept me going, like making my health and my body a priority. Finally deciding what I needed to do about my gut health. Not that I ever had a gut, but like, that's the thing. I don't have a gut and I would be bloated. So I figured that out. Things like that. I pray. I remember that these particular things that I do and I'm invested in, everything that I am doing right now, I picked up at a very young age. And so it's not the thing that, oh, well, I know nothing else, so I have to do this. It's the thing that it's like, it's in me. Like, sometimes it's on some people and then sometimes it's in some people. And like, that's what keeps me going. Like, it's kind of like I have no choice to stop. Why would I stop now? A great leader once said, men and women are born for the time that they're needed the most. So if you're still here, that means you are not done yet. And so I'm not done. I was on the wake up list today. God willing, I'm gonna be on the wake up list tomorrow, and the day after that, and the week after that, and the month after that, and all that good stuff in the year and years to come after that, after this. So like, just remembering that these are things that I'm called to do. So if I'm not seeing things right now, it's not my job to see what's happening next. It's my job to continue to do what I have in front of me. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Anybody else want to ask a question?
I'll answer as well, my friend, who is also an awesome photographer as well. But I think that some people don't take the time for themselves. And I struggle with that as well. And so many times in my life, it's like, okay, you're doing so much, we forget to focus on things. But I have rituals, and some rituals may not be great for me, and some that may be great for me is not great for you. But like typically when I come home, I literally give myself at least 49 minutes to an hour. And why I say that is because I literally turn my phone, close my phone, close my laptop, everything, and I watch reality TV. That makes me happy. I don't have to think about anything. I light my candle, and that's like my me meditation time, where I feel like centered, and I'm not doing like deep thought, like, oh, I'm about to just like reflect on my life. It's like laughter, fun, drama, because clearly whatever, but it's also, these are my favorite shows. So like I'm so invested in these shows and these characters that like I can literally go off on every show that I'm watching right now. But yeah, I take the time to at least watch one episode. So like, Hulu's always like 20, 30, 49 minutes without the commercials. And then as soon as it's over, I can decide from there. Do I want to continue binge watching, or do I want to get some work done? Do I want to go to sleep? But at least I gave myself that time frame where I know that as soon as I got home, I always just like watch a little TV, relax, and just like, and then I feel recharged again, because it's like that moment where I'm not thinking too hard. I'm not being hard on myself, and I sit there and just laugh, and these characters on TV just are quite entertaining. So whatever show, or if definitely now it's March Madness, so it's like if I'm catching a game or highlights, that's a part of like whatever I decide to watch. So just making sure that I'm like updated with everything and not a care in the world during those 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting point. Now, before we get to any more questions for the other two people that haven't asked a question yet, because I'm going to make sure we all get some questions. I mean, I just want to ask all three of you, like, what name one sports personality? Well, actually not one, but I name like a few sports media personalities or sports media professionals. It doesn't have to be on camera. It doesn't have to be behind the camera. I mean, it could be, but like name one sports media professional that you admire. Starting with you, Erin, or women that work in sports.
One? That's so difficult for me.
Make that three.
I have so many. I mean, I have to start with, this isn't even fair. There are so many, especially in this New York City community that I love and am so grateful for. One, I have to shout out, my soul sister, Nicole Sweet. I just love her. She MBA photographer, but she is changing the whole, or basically giving life and visuals to the surf community in Dakar, Senegal. So she married a, world champion surfer from Senegal. And she is documenting his journey through photography and a little bit of video. But she is really shining a light onto that community, and it's really inspiring and amazing to see. And she's been a mentor to me, really helpful through, for all my photography jobs and those moments where, you don't feel creative and you're breaking down and you don't know what to do next and you just need somebody to call. She's a huge one for me. Oh my gosh. There's Christina Williams. I love her. She's amazing and great and doing amazing things for women in sports and highlighting so many different stories within sports, and particularly basketball and WNBA. Miss B at Dykeman, she, runs the girls program there. I really love her. That's three, but I could go on forever and ever. There's so many women.
Hey, it's an open panel. If you want to go on forever.
No, shout out to all the New York City ladies who are doing their thing in all the different aspects, from photography, videography, coaching. The women coaches are amazing. Love them.
Yes.
just, the girls on the mic at, all the different, at Barclays, at the Knicks, all of them. I'm super grateful because they've all really been a part of my journey, and I get to meet more and more of them as I'm out and about. And I will say the one thing that really has stuck out to me is the women that you come across are amazing. Like the support and the love and the genuine, like, willingness to help each other and to support each other, in my experience, has been really, really amazing. And it's a great thing to see and be a part of, because it gives me hope. It gives me like hope for the future and hope for women in general, because we are really powerful. We are really, really powerful. And when we join forces, that's it. It's over. So it's been really great, but it's hard to name three. So love to all of them. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but that's, we don't have all night. So.
And yeah, it's all good. I mean, hey, it only ends, hey, it doesn't really matter. Now, okay, Wallace, the same question to you. Now that you've been dancing for a sports team, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if I have three to name, but somebody who definitely came off the top was Allie Love.
Yep.
She is a host for Brooklyn. And not just that, I just love her journey. Like, I don't know if she still follows me, but I remember way back when the blue check mark first became a thing, like people started to realize the people who had a blue check mark. I was like, who is this following me with a blue check mark? It was her. And I didn't know of her at the time. This was like years ago, I want to say now. I want to say I was still in college. And I love her journey. I love how she is in multiple different sectors with her hosting. She just did the hosting with the Dance 100 on Netflix.
Yeah.
I love how she does she's one of the Peloton instructors on their platform. And she's someone, the way she operates her career, it like how she's in these different lanes but still pretty much doing the same thing and within her personality is something that I aim to do and something that I aim to be. And I come from a football family. I know Rafiq, you've been seeing me talk about basketball a lot on social media, but I come from a football family. So I love me some Shannon Sharpe. I was about to say something inappropriate. But I love Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith. They've created, with Stephen A. Smith, he comes from a traditional having a communications degree background, not being one of the people like that we see even amongst the women who were athletes first and then went into commentating. I both love how they created their platforms and how they cater to the culture, because I feel like I exist in these different lanes. I feel like, if you can take it back to the culture, if you can have culture within you, I love you. And so there's a lot of things about them that their shows and their platforms allow people who probably aren't as well versed in sports to have access to. Like, you don't have to watch the game to know what they said on their show. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to even watch them in real time to know what they said. They're always a meme. They give their 2 cents about what's happening in the world. And I don't really prefer Skip Bayless, but I love the dynamics between Shannon and Sharon. I love the dynamics. I love the dynamics between Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless. I love how we can show on TV that we can exist and have 2 different opinions and come from 2 different backgrounds and have 2 different demeanors and exist on a show. Sometimes I feel like when people exist on a show and that nature together, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a radio show, whether it's a sports commentating show, or whether they're doing sports commentating, that the 2 people sitting there have to agree. No, I actually want 2 people to sit there and disagree and be able to come to work the next day. That it's very enjoyable to watch. I definitely want to continue to see us grow as women commentators. I didn't mention this, but that's another way I went into communications. One day at one of the little league football games for my town, they needed a commentator. And like I said, I come from a football family. So I walked up the bleachers and got myself in the booth and I called the whole entire game. And I was like 13 at the time. I kid you not. Everybody was shocked shocked that I could call a whole game live in the booth. I literally said I was 13 at the time. Everybody was shocked. And I'm like, oh, I've only been around this since I was a baby. I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to football. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I can call a whole game for you.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, so that's when my mom thought I was going to leave dance behind and be a sports commentator. I still have not been a sports commentator yet, other than social media, but yeah.
All right, Shauntay, what are some beautiful women that work in sports media that you admire, whether it's photography, on air,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera?
I'll be quick, but Allie Love, that's one of the reasons why I go see the Brooklyn Nets.
And not Ali Melendez?
We've had discussions about it. I think that
I'm kidding.
she has created a lane for other people to take her place for when she's absent. But I think that, I literally remember going to a Brooklyn Nets game and then seeing, like, I'm a huge sports fan. So, I'm watching the Nets. I don't have any problems. I'm like, woo. And then I remember a switch turning in me and seeing her as an arena host, being like, who is this? Like, what is she doing? I didn't even know this job existed. Like, how is she talking on the mic, but like to the arena, and like people are responding? And I didn't know like what that was until like I saw her face on the Megatron, so I fell in love with that part of it. And so she's absolutely phenomenal. Peloton, everything, her workshops, whenever she's back in New York, I've seen her at so many red carpets and events, and she's just like everything. And then, I love Bianca. Her last name is, yes, Bianca. Yeah, she's
Energy.
amazing.
Energy.
She covered March Madness last week.
Yes. I love seeing her just evolve in her career. Her fashion is on it too. Her bold colors, her making a statement, just authentically being herself. And I just seeing her journey, I will always support her, because I feel like, it's people like her that, again, makes me come to the games, makes me, spin, because I want to be in the crowd where they're asking for the crowd participation. It's energetic. And then in the entertainment world, I love Gia Peppers. She is literally the media queen. I saw her last night and I got so happy, just because her growth is phenomenal. She started also as in DC, an arena host for the Hawks, and just to see her growth is absolutely amazing. But I think that, there's multiple reasons why we love people, but for her, what I see is just like a class of professionalism that I've never seen. The way she is a true journalist. And I think people are like, oh, I can write or I can interview people. Like, no, when you see somebody really get into the story and ask those difficult questions and still be able to make a story and create a story is phenomenal. So I love, Gia, Bianca, and Allie. They're my top three. And they will be for a long time.
Yeah, they will. And that's some phenomenal names you just mentioned. Although I will say this, I'm still gonna continue beating up about the little Annie Love, Annie Belinda's debate, Shauntay, when we get off the air. But it's whatever. But it's whatever. I mean, at the present, I get where you're coming from, but your opinion will change on those women. Trust me, or maybe it won't. But anyways,
I don't know, Allie for life.
Yeah, I like her, but I like Bianca. But since it's my panel, I'm the one that put it together. I'm gonna name a few of them. Obviously, Christina Williams, Ariel Chalmers. That's another phenomenal woman that's working in sports media. She's phenomenal with all the WNBA interviews. Oh yeah, Monica McNutt. That's another one. I mean, and those are women that I got to know personally in my podcast interviews and off the air. Like seriously, and I can't forget about Bianca. Very nice human being. I remember one time when I covered the Brooklyn Nets over practice for it, she liked my photo. I remember. We didn't really know each other at the time, but
she's a sweetheart.
Yeah, sweetheart. And somebody else that I'm now like so super happy about seeing is Candace Parker, and just her role and the boundaries that I feel like every single day she's breaking history and like it didn't even like, I didn't even like realize that a female has never even been in the place that she has been. And I'm like, I'm rooting for her. I want to see her more. I want her to come on the TV more. I want to, I want all the commentary from Candace Parker, and I wish her the biggest like career ever. But it's phenomenal for us to see somebody that looks like us, and then be a woman, be in that atmosphere where it's a guy's game out there.
I was gonna say, dealing with those men.
She is standing her ground, and I love it. I'm like, you better go ahead, girl, with the big plays out there. She is well deserved. All the flowers to her, and I wish her the best success.
Yeah, all the flowers indeed. And I have two more questions to wrap up this panel because we're a little short on time. I have two more questions just to ask. Well, second to last, obviously, because we're in the middle of March Madness. This is Women's Herstory Month. Like, if you, for those of you that watch women's basketball, well, I want you to name one moment, one favorite moment that happened, that you loved watching in women's March Madness tournaments throughout your time watching basketball. Starting with you, Erin.
This year? Wait.
Yeah, whether it's in the past or the present. Starting with you, Erin.
Oh, that's a hard question too. There's a lot. I mean, we talked about previously Caitlin Clark. I'm loving watching her. I mean, she's just a beast and she's amazing. But Marquise Poole's daughter, Kateri, playing with LSU. I'm loving her. New York City girl, played Dykeman, played AAU in the city. And it's awesome to see, a New York City girl in the limelight doing her thing, balling out. It's really awesome. I'm proud of her. I'm happy for her. And I hope, that they get that W. We'll see in the Final Four.
Yeah. Kay Wallace, since you mentioned you're into basketball.
I think it's really good to watch Flau'jae Johnson. What a lot of people don't know about her is that she was on the reality TV show The Rap Game when she was a kid.
Come on.
I want to say how many, it was about I want to say 7 years ago now.
Mm-hmm. I think she was on the same season as Lotto.
No.
Well,
she was on the season after that.
Okay, season after.
Yeah. And it's great to watch her because I'm not watching like a child rap star. I'm watching somebody who can play. And I think by the time her senior year comes, she's going to really be, if she's, still playing, she's going to really be a problem. All around, I think LSU just needs to just relax. I think they get frazzled, especially because these, March Madness games, this is not like the NBA playoffs where you got 7 rounds. You have one game, okay? Make it happen or not. And I feel like she really shows up for her team and she has great form. And I think she is definitely a player to watch for the next coming years. We obviously know Caitlin, we know Angel, we know Aaliyah, we know some of these people, the twins from, they're not in the game anymore. We know Haley Van Aloof. Am I saying her last name right? We know Monica, we know some of these people, but it's always interesting to see how the freshmen show up for their team and knowing that they still have more years to develop. I like watching her. She's a shooter and she has nice form. So yeah.
Yeah. Shauntay?
I'll go back in history a little bit. Just by when I was living in Connecticut, the year that the men's and the women's team won back-to-back. The same year, I was just like floored by it. I remember being at UConn and for a dance-related show, and then like the basketball team. I remember literally, we were in the audience, and both basketball teams sat in front of us, and I was like, "Oh my God, do you guys know who they are? Like who's like in front of us?" And like my team is like, "Absolutely not. We're focused on like the routine and practice and like get it through choreography." And I was like, I need to fan out just for a moment. Like, this is UConn. They are like phenomenal. And I was like, this year, both teams will win. And then they did. And so just to see that camaraderie and live like in the state when it was like just bringing the trophy home. I just remember watching both games and like just being really happy for UConn.
Yeah. And to wrap up this panel, I almost said episode nothing but the sports talk. Pardon me, my bad. But anyways, what does Women's Herstory Month mean to you? Whoever wants to go first.
I think the most underrated part we don't talk about women is how resilient we are. Like, it's in our human nature to be resilient. I know some people fetish or obsess over what their body looks like after they have a baby. But the fact that your body was able to go from one size,
Mhm.
bear a child to go to another size is amazing. Like, that in itself, if we did nothing else,
Yeah.
any historian, male or woman, any famous person in the world came from a woman. I don't care how you cut it. Okay? The greatest of the greatest came from a woman. The greatest of the greatest came from a woman. Even Jesus came from a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, it came from a woman. And I think we need to acknowledge that the fact that nothing really moves or shakes on this earth without a woman.
Absolutely.
And so that's what women's history means to me. I don't care what Madam C.J. Walker invented. I don't care how many miles Harriet Tubman walked. It's not that I don't care. It's the fact that at the end of the day, women are doing groundbreaking things by just operating in their human nature. And so that's what Women's History Month means to me. Every day, a woman is creating somebody who can be the next whatever. Like, not to relate it back to a man, but I remember Tupac said, not remember, because how old was I when Tupac was around? But Tupac said, I may not change the world, but I might be the person who sparked the person who changed the world. So as a woman, I can sit here and do nothing, not nothing, but we don't know who Erin's children are going to be. At the end of the day, she carried those 2 children, she brought those 2 children, she feeds those 2 children. And even if you aren't a natural mother who birthed, like, again, it's in a woman's nature to cultivate. It's in a woman's nature to create. It's in a woman's nature to raise up. It's in a woman's nature to bounce back. All that relates back to everything a woman has done in history. So that's what Women's History Month means to me.
Okay.
Just to add to that, what she's saying about mothering, I think one of the most important things, I had this conversation with a good friend of mine who is not a mother. And I tell her all the time, but you are. All women are mothers. We're all mothers. It doesn't matter whether we carry them in the womb and give birth to them. We are birthing things constantly. Without women, nothing is birthing. And we are all mothers. We are all caretakers. We are in our, like you were saying, just in our feminine energy alone, just being in that feminine, grounded in that feminine energy, we change the world, period. I mean, and it's a, the month is obviously shouldn't be a month like many other things. But it's a time to acknowledge and celebrate and, all of the women who came before us, but also inspiration to continue all of those things that we mother all the time.
Anything to add, Shauntay?
Yeah, I just think Women's History Month and this panel and it's really important. And I think that it means everything. And so for me, what I preach and what I teach my students is like the power of your voice. And so my coach once said, a closed mouth never gets fed. And so I try to instill that in my students. Obviously, it's confidence and walk. And there's like so many little nuances here and there that I'm like trying to get them to develop and like wear their head high and never look down and walk straight and all of these things. But when it all boils down to is just making sure that they have a voice to express how they truly feel. And I think that it starts at the development age, because once we get older, our voice tends to dim in rooms that shouldn't. And so making people, women, little girls, everyone around the world feel like their voice matters is truly important to me.
All right, well, those are, you guys, there's some pretty interesting quotes. Now, we're going to wrap up this panel. Thank you for the 3 people that didn't get to speak. I'm sorry you didn't get to speak, and I hope you got some education from listening to these 2 women talk in sports, entertainment, and just Women's Herstory Month and culture. And I'm glad you women got to stay, like literally. And for the fans, any other non-panelists, feel free to get that. Feel free to leave when you can. Thank you guys for tuning in. And for all the panelists, we got a little post conversation to reflect on everything we talked about in the panel. So for all those of you that are not panelists, we'll see you next time. Thank you for coming by.
Have a great night. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.